Welcome to Open Mat Chronicles 1865 here once again back at you guys. We got Schaefer in the house as always.
What's up, everybody?
And we got a couple of special guests with us as well. Two of my favorite peeps right here. We got Brian on this side. What's up, Brian?
I'm Brian. I'll be training at Infinite Jiu Jitsu under Gustavo Enriquez.
Cool. How long you been training, Brian?
Just over 2.5 years now.
2.5 years. Yeah. Okay, so you probably got that blue, huh?
Yeah, I just picked it up last summer.
Hell yeah.
You got the blue. That's a big deal, huh? When you get the blue.
Oh, it was big. Yeah, it was a really big deal.
And so you were about 2 years total at white belt, what you say?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years?
Almost to the day. Yeah.
Well, that's about average, I'd say. It's like usually like 1.5 to 2 years is about average.
Yep.
Unless you're on the 6-strap system like me, then it's going to take you 3 years.
Yeah, that's me. Just average.
All right. And there we go, man. Eric right here. What's up, Eric?
How's it going? Eric Perez, also train at Infinite Jiu Jitsu under Gustavo Enriquez, and I am a white belt.
Nice. I never knew your last name.
Oh, now you know.
I mean, shit, I'm not going to remember it until he gets a blue belt.
Exactly. You usually don't get a name until you get a blue belt.
It's all good. So what, am I breaking this down? So what are we talking about today? We're going to continue our white belt discussion. We wanted to pick the brains of some current and recently former white belts, and we're just going to get a feel for how we pick schools and what do you learn, and do you feel that your education in the art of jiu-jitsu or the sport of jiu-jitsu has been somewhat fulfilling and whatnot?
Yeah, like why you joined, like what was your reason for it? Let's start with that, huh?
That's a great one.
We'll go with Brian first.
Yeah.
Actually, I got to address the elephant in the room. Yo, I was going to put in the thumbnail, we got BJ Penn in the house. Straight up, dude. Because my man looks just like BJ Penn. And you know the funny thing? He has a brother that is like an identical twin.
Yeah.
He's not really identical twin, right? But,
No, we're like 18 months apart.
yeah,
but
you guys look alike.
we get that all the time. We get called John. He gets called Brian. Yeah.
Shout out to John, man. I haven't seen him in a minute. Tell him to get back in here, John.
So yeah, John's been out for about a year and a half because he just had a kid. He just turned
okay.
one
That happens.
recently. So yeah, life got in the way. But he's the one who actually got me into this gym, Infinite Jiu Jitsu.
Nice.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, because he started like 8 or 9 years ago.
I know,
And
I
he was
saw
telling
that
me, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome. You need to do this." And I was like, I was going to school, working. I had kids. Like, I just didn't have time.
Yeah.
And that's how I picked it. I was like, all right, it was like 2020, 2021. Like, all right, the kids aren't doing baseball. We're going to do jiu-jitsu instead. Because, like, hey, John, where did you guys go? And that's how we got started. My kids started. And then a few months later, I started.
Hell
You
yeah.
know what? I've seen that a lot. The parents will bring the kids in to train, and
Yep.
then they start training after a while.
Well, they have to because they're worried that at some point in time their kids will choke them out when they're trying to make them clean their room and shit. And it's like, oh, no.
That's no joke. My youngest one will just come up. I'm sitting on the couch, and he'll just come up, slap on a rear naked
That's
choke.
what I'm telling
Get
you.
off of me. What are you-
Clean your room, Dad.
Yeah, it's so funny. So at one time they were both coming in together, right? And I would always get them confused. So you know me, I make up nicknames, right? Because until you get a blue belt, you don't have a name.
Yeah.
So I would call him BJ Penn number 1 and BJ Penn number 2.
Nice.
I don't know who was who. I think John was number 1 because
Yeah, 'cause he started
And
first.
I'd always get him confused. He'd go, no, I'm number 1. I'm number 1. Then call him, okay, he's Brian. Dude.
Good shit.
You gotta feel he's Brian. Yeah. But Eric, we gotta get a nickname for Eric. So I'll think of it. I'm working on it.
Leave it out for the commenters.
Yeah.
Just
Once-
everybody just
yeah,
start
after this, get
come up with a
personality, we'll
nickname.
think of a nickname
Yeah,
for him.
come up with a nickname for Eric.
Okay, so tell us your journey, Eric. So when did you start, and like why did you start? Why did you pick Infinite? All that good stuff.
So I started at Infinite about a year ago. So I signed up in like November-ish of 2023. 22.
Dig it.
22. Yeah, so about
Okay.
a little over a year. So I initially started with Kung Fu when I was in college. Wing Chun to be specific. My uncle had been doing it for like 40 plus years. So I was like, okay, well, I'll try it out. It'd be good to learn. And I really enjoyed it. Did it for maybe 3 years, then had to move for job. But the one thing I noticed about it is they had, and don't hate me, people. Every martial arts style is good. That's why it exists today. But they all have weaknesses. And in my opinion, Wing Chun's weakness is any kind of takedown defense or getting back to your feet.
Gotcha.
Well, because Wing Chun in particular, it's not a very fast style. You don't move your feet a lot. You're grounded the entire time. And if
Okay.
you're grounded and someone tries to take you down, they just have to remove one leg and they got you.
But don't wait. Isn't that with the real fast hands? You're like, with the hands are real fast, right?
Yes, but if
It
someone,
looks cool though, dude. When you see it on YouTube, like,
it's real fast. It's real fast hands. Not really any power hits, other than I would say probably an elbow would probably be the most powerful strike in it. It's more death by 1,000 cuts essentially. It's not
Okay.
necessarily knockout power.
death by humiliation. Yeah, they hit like 20 times.
Yeah.
So there's no takedown defense, and so I started jiu-jitsu at another school in Sacramento but I moved up here, so I had to quit both schools because I was working crazy overtime. And then got back into jiu-jitsu after COVID, and I picked Infinite.
Nice. Good shit. Well, we're glad to have both of you.
Oh, yeah.
And what do they say about the old school kung fu shit? They're like, boards don't hit back.
Don't hit back.
Fucking
what's funny, man?
Bruce Lee shit, right?
Watch those old kung fu movies. It's hilarious. In the 70s, any kung fu movie, right? You pick one, the guy gets knocked down, he just jumps up immediately. There's no concept of fighting on the ground. They immediately just get back to their feet. It's
Hell
funny.
yeah.
Except, actually, wait, I take that back. Remember Bolo?
Yes.
Bolo was
Young,
actually
yep.
Bruce Lee. Didn't he armbar?
Yes,
armbarred
he
Bolo.
did. In
It was
Enter the
sloppiest,
Dragon. It was-
ugliest armbar I've
Yeah,
ever
but it
seen,
was cool.
But it was still, at least he kind of thought about it.
That's funny. I was just watching some of that yesterday.
And I think with Bolo, he like bit him. He like bit his leg.
Yeah.
That was his
some bullshit.
armbar defense.
Hey, try it. Shit. So, all right. So, you got brought to Infinite because, this is for Brian. You got brought to Infinite mainly because your brother was here first, but then the kids. And when you got going, right? Like, what were some of the first things you learned? Can you remember?
Oh God! Yeah, so I weighed 195 pounds, which is like 25 pounds heavier than I am now. So it's
Okay.
like, and so I was heavy,
Dig it.
and I didn't realize how bad a shape I was in. I was like,
Yeah, he was a little chunky. I remember.
I was, yeah. And so like I did 4 years in the Marine Corps infantry, so I was like, I know how to fight. We did ground fighting. Yeah.
Hell damn yeah.
The first day, like 9 seconds in, I was rolling with Jackie, Phil's wife. She's like 110 pounds,
Yeah,
and
she's
she was
good, though.
9 seconds. I was
She's
armbar.
technical, bro.
Oh my! I was like, that was really humbling. Like, okay, I need to learn this much better. And 5 or 6 submissions later, 5 minutes was over.
They
but-
just had a kid too, that, right?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Shout out to
And
both
so-
of them, man. Phil and Jackie. They're gonna have a little jiu-jitsu baby coming out because that's some good genetics coming out. Jiu-jitsu
Yeah,
genetics.
Phil's really good. Jack is really good.
solid.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was my first day. I was like, God, that's hard. I didn't realize how out of shape and how terrible I was at this.
Okay. So, really, I mean, it seemed like it was just one of those freaking aha moments, that
Yeah.
light bulb over your head. You're
Yeah.
like, holy shit. I used to be so much better when I was in the Marines.
It was, and it's like you hear people like, yeah, once I see red, like, it's like, no, there's nothing like that. Like you can see red all you want. That's just you red and then black and then you're out. That's basically how it would go.
Makes sense. All right. So, what were some of the first stuff you learned then, Eric? What'd you get? Like, do you remember? You got in. You're like, all right, they're gonna teach me a flying armbar, which I know we did not.
No, so I'll talk like the first time I rolled was at the Sacramento school.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if it was just the nights I was going or what, because I was doing Wing Chun at the same time, so I would only go to jiu-jitsu 2 nights a week for maybe like 3 months. And every one of those classes was pretty much brown belt and higher, brown black belts, and then me and maybe one other white or blue belt.
Okay.
So I just got the crap beat out of me.
All right. So they were beating you down, and then
Yeah, they were beating me down, and I came from Kung Fu background. It's a very sensitive, relaxed style, so it kind of translates over nicely. So I probably didn't go hard enough.
okay.
So they'll probably try to do a move on me, and I would just instead of trying to fight it, I would just roll over
Yeah.
and get in a bad position.
Gotcha.
And so they would kind of get frustrated with me, like, don't just let me do that to you. And I'm just like, well, I don't know what to do.
Right. It's like shit. I wouldn't if I knew how to stop you.
Exactly.
So that was my first experience. They were really big on mounting. They were a mounting school. So a lot of their moves and drills revolved around getting to mount and then what to do from there.
Gotcha.
So,
Makes sense. And you mentioned you were doing about 2 times a week then. Now it seems like you fucking live at the school.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how much are you training?
I try to do 5 nights a week.
That is badass, dude.
Yeah, that's legit.
I'll tell you what. That's when you're amping your shit up.
Committed.
Which I will admit, it didn't click for me how long you haven't been at our school, because I kept looking and I'm like, he's not a fucking blue belt yet? Why isn't he a blue belt yet? How come he's not? Like, anytime I'm here, he's here. It's like that
Yeah,
fucking Friday
yeah.
thing. Every time I'm in the kitchen, you're in the kitchen, right? It's like, what the fuck? How are you here this much? And you're progressing like really, really quickly. So I was like, dude, is he on deck for his blue belt like right now? And I'm sitting here petitioning for it and shit. And they're like, dude, he's only been here for like 2 weeks. I mean, not literally 2 weeks, but I was very surprised. But it clicks when you put it into context, and it's like he's here every damn day,
Yeah.
constantly. And then you got your blue. You said what? It's about 6 months ago,
Yeah, about
right?
6 months ago.
So 6 months ago, how'd you feel? Like, what was the feeling? Because I know the white belt feeling.
I was I was like, am I ready for this? What I was afraid of was the wrist locks. I was like, man, I don't want to. Like, I drive a shift truck. Like, I need to be able to drive home.
Well, I mean, who the fuck was wrist locking out there? Nobody wrist locks.
There's like 1%.
There were people threatening wrist locks.
I mean,
I wonder where.
hey, look. When you become a blue belt, it's time to get wrist locked. You have to learn. You have to learn. That's like the first move that's off limits that becomes on, like game on at
That's
blue
the
belt.
weirdest thing to me.
It's the
I don't
first
get
thing because you can't really do heel hooks, can't do knee
Yeah.
bars, no twisting foot lock, toe holds, none of that shit.
Yeah.
But a wrist lock is like you've crossed the threshold. You're like, watch this. We can fuck you up a little bit more now.
And
It's like an intermediate, injury.
Hell yeah, exactly.
Like a heel hook's gonna put you out. You can retire somebody with a heel hook, but a wrist lock it can still jack you up though.
Yeah.
But usually the pain you're like,
Yeah.
You
It's
don't even tap.
quick.
You're like, that's the tap.
Come on,
Tap is
dude.
ah.
And that comes back to my shit I tell everybody anyway. It's like, get a fucking bidet. If you can't wipe your ass anymore, get a bidet. You'll be fine. All right, sorry. So you were there. You were worried about the wrist locks.
yeah, that was a big thing. I was like, well,
Man,
and
see
then
what you did, Harold. That's all you, man. No one at school
I
was
wasn't
gonna
that
be
afraid of
wrist
it,
lock.
but I was like, you know what? Okay, now that I'm a color belt, it's like, well, am I allowed to get tapped out by white belts now? Like, but these guys are only a couple months behind me.
legit.
Like Eric,
That's legit.
Eric's getting harder and harder
Yes.
to tap me, and he's getting submissions on me. I'm like, wait a minute, like, is this supposed to happen? Like, am I supposed to be like invincible to white belts now?
No.
And you're like, no. Like, people are gonna have a good day. You're gonna have a bad day. It's just it happens.
Now, see, that is a very legitimate and very well freaking explained idea
And it's
because
honest, too.
a lot of people, and it's going to happen at the next belt and the next belt and the next
goes
belt.
away.
Everyone's like, yo, man, like, I got this. Am I really ready? Because, Joe Schmo over here, he still catches me. It's like, I can't keep him in my guard. Or, this chick, she's always like, does some weird shit where she'll slip out and next thing you know, she's on my back. It never stops, right? There's always going to be somebody who's just got your number. I mean, it's kind of weird. It sucks. I don't like it. A lot of people got my fucking number.
You notice it is, right? There's that one guy who, like, he knows your style, and then it could be like just styles, they don't mesh well, right?
Facts.
Because I'll go with guys that I'll like just run through this guy, right? And then another guy who'll roll with me just destroy that, or maybe this guy destroys him, you know
Right?
what I mean?
And then the other guy gets you. It's like
yeah,
there's
like,
some weird
why do I have a
triangle
problem?
shit.
It doesn't make sense.
Who knows? All right, so Eric, you started off Wing Chun and freaking Jiu Jitsu and all this. What was your reasoning for going to martial arts? Or did you think of it more as a sport that you wanted to say, hey, you know what? I just want to be able to win a fucking trophy, or did you want to be able to beat somebody the fuck up?
Definitely not a sport. More for self-defense, to be honest, because I didn't want to be in a situation where something would happen and, I didn't have a means to defend myself.
Okay.
Really the main reason.
Hell yeah. What about you?
No, same thing. I was doing it for self-defense. I didn't know there was a sport aspect to it. I thought it was all self-defense.
Nice. See, which is same for me. I mean, I know when I started, I think we were talking about that, right? That's usually why people show up. Not a bunch of people will show up and go, hey, you know what? I want to be the best jiu-jitsu white belt in the world, and I want to be able to win all the trophies. And
I want to do pants.
yeah, right. They don't even know what the
Saying
hell that is, right? Yeah, usually they want to fight. I mean, or they want to be prepared for a fight, which is why I always teach my first moves, right? I say, hey, if you happen to get knocked down in a freaking bar, or your drunk uncle jumps on you or some shit, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you know what?
That's how you start. Like, yeah.
You cover up, you pull him in, you hit a sweep, and then you choke his ass out a little bit, and then put him on the lounge chair, nice and smooth. What's another question you got for Rod? Anything?
Let's see here. Okay, so you trained for, 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
What was your expectation? Did you have any expectations when you first started?
No.
Was getting a belt even a question, or is that something that became important as you were training? Other guys, little gossip, like, hey, you should get your blue belt. Like, how was it?
Right in the beginning, that was so far in the future, I wasn't even thinking about it. Like, as the years went by, like a year and a half and 2 years, I was thinking, okay, I'm at that stage, but I wasn't looking for, all right, when am I going to get promoted? It was just, well, whenever it happens, because when I got promoted, I was still just as good as it was the day before.
Yeah.
And so it didn't really
You're
change
right.
anything.
White belt one day, now you're a blue belt.
Yeah,
now
it's like, well, it's
you
just
get powers.
it's just a different belt. But
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah, that's interesting. What about you?
What was the question again? I zoned out.
What was it?
You were trying to just figure out if he
If you had expectations.
Had
like, what your
expectations, right.
expectations were.
Oh,
Or are
expectations.
they? Do you still have expectations on
I
that?
expect to get my ass kicked every day. Really, realistically.
Okay.
Let's go with that. And this could be just the way their personalities are, but both these guys, they're really good roles.
Yes.
They're not rolling with intent like, I will freaking try to submit you. Like, I'm not saying they're not trying. They're going to try to submit you.
Oh, for sure.
But it's not in a way that's like, that's their whole motivation is just to submit you at all costs. They're rolling and you leave something out, there's an opportunity,
Correct.
I take it. And I think that's why they're both getting really good.
They're not looking to put a notch on their belt. Say,
No.
oh, I caught this
There's none
blue
of
belt,
that.
this purple belt, this
No.
brown belt, this black belt.
No.
Which
no,
is
not, yeah, that mentality
fucking awesome.
Not there, yeah.
Usually, if I get a submission on an upper belt, I'm like, they let me have it.
Sometimes,
And you know what?
sometimes not.
Right. I mean, seriously, and that is the other point, right? Sometimes if you do have an upper belt, right? You know, when we talk about rolling at about 70%, no one's really going balls to the wall. They shouldn't be.
Right.
And if the guy puts something out there, maybe he does something that he wouldn't normally do, you know, but it's not so much that you didn't catch him. You caught him with him rolling at the level that he was trying to do. He might have just said, okay, I got to just stay a little bit ahead of this guy.
Yeah.
And if he fucking slips up and he's not ahead of you, then he wonders why he caught that arm. But the beauty is you guys don't grip it and try to rip his fucking arm off.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's like, oh, shit, I'm taking this home with me. You guys don't do that, which
No,
is
yeah, you guys preach that like you don't want to lose training partners. Like you hurt somebody's
Exactly.
like your elbow got hurt. It's like, well,
Yeah.
no, I haven't rolled with you in a couple of weeks now.
It's so cool. That was awesome. I asked, hey, Brian, do you want to roll? He's like, well, are you messed up? He's always very, like, you know, concerned about, like, are you injured? What's this? I'm like, well, I'm okay, but my elbow's still kind of messed up. I just
Right.
got to go light. He goes, yeah, let's not do it. I'm like, that's the first time someone actually said, goes, well, I don't know if I'm going to actually injure you, you know, accidentally. I'm like, yo, dude, this props, man.
hell yeah,
Because like, he's good enough now to where, like, you know, and he's going to go for a little bit, right?
for sure.
He might, you know, oh, shoot, left my arm out.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be rolling like 100% like arms in tight, like don't get a Kimura on me, or I know
Right.
that's your game, Kimura, you know, or don't get this. Then you're rolling like a competition when you have to go that tightly, and that's
Right.
what a lot of people. That's where you will get caught as an upper belt, where you're like, you're just chilling, you're smooth, you know, but then another guy might take advantage of that opportunity,
yeah.
which is fine. You're supposed to do that, but
If you see it, listen, you go for it.
You go for it.
But,
But
just
if you're gonna
don't rip it
compete,
off.
then
Yeah.
you're like you're tight, you're in, you're ready,
Right.
your mindset's right. You're like then it's different, you know.
But now they're in practice. We're with the king of practice.
Exactly.
I
Don't be the king of practice. Hell yeah. That's a fucking beautiful philosophy, if you ask me.
Well, see, I'd like to get like Trevor, like Big Trevor. I'd like to get to his level where he's able to like graduate where he's at. Like I see how hard he rolls with the upper belts.
Right.
He does not do that with me. Like he'll tap me out quick.
Yeah.
But he's not just thrashing me the whole 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He throttles it down to where he's maybe just a little bit above your level.
Yeah.
And the thing is that starts to get deceptive, right? Because if we throttle it down, we're like, okay, cool. Let's just try to work with him here. And then we're like, holy shit, you guys are actually getting really, really good.
They catch you, they start catching you. Holy crap!
And I'm like, all right, apparently I have to dial this shit
Yeah.
back up again. Because you guys really, both of you learn really quickly and you're dangerous quickly. You know, I mean, within a year or so of doing jiu-jitsu, if you're really training, if you're putting in some fucking work, you're probably one of the most dangerous people on earth, which seems so weird to say. It's like, really? That sounds like bullshit. But think about it.
Do the math, right?
Yeah, you know, out of the 8 billion people on earth, how many really practice hurting other human beings? I mean, and when you get a good year or so of that under your belt, you get good at it. You would fuck somebody up. You'd probably fuck up the average person.
Oh, you would? Yeah. I saw a thing on YouTube. It was talking about like if you could bench press just 225, like only 10% of the population in the United States can even do that.
Yeah, so
And it sounds like nothing. 225, bro. It's not-
that's because
you.
you're a freak of nature,
But,
dude.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you're
not 225. It's not a lot of weight.
you're fucking strong as shit, dude.
That's crazy though, huh? You would think that's but it goes back to like if you have a white belt, or let's say you've been training for 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
You're gonna pretty much murder most people that do not train at all.
Absolutely. So it's like, that's awesome. That's why when you guys both, well, all of us, we came in looking for self-defense. And we found it. Because once you do kind of get through that year or so, it's a safe bet. Realistically, I always use the example of somebody jumps on you in the Walmart parking lot. If he doesn't knock you out immediately, if you recognize you're in a fight, you grab him up, you take him down. For the most part, you'll probably dismantle them. Especially like if they're fucking smoking blunts and drinking 40s. They don't have the fucking stamina for this shit. You guys are here training every damn day. He'll beat the dog shit
But
out
what
of him.
happens is it gets boring then because it doesn't take that. It takes about a year and a half to learn how to defend yourself, you know, from a street attack. And then after that, then what? So then you want to start learning how to fight other jiu-jitsu guys. And then
Correct.
the sport aspect opens up, and then it's the whole fun begins.
And that's where I wanted to freaking segue into competition. So you recently did a competition.
I recently competed.
Tell us about it. What made you want to do it? How'd you doing it? How'd you feel about how'd you doing it?
Well, I wanted to do it because I have a lot of free time right now. It's just me and my wife, no kids yet. So if I'm gonna do it, now would be the time to do it at white belt. So there's no real really bad leg submissions.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I did get a break or something like that, it would probably be my arm. It would heal up, not too life detrimental, as opposed to someone gets a heel hook on me in a tournament. Like that could really mess you up. So mainly safety. Never been in a combat sport competition before or a situation like that, so that was an experience. Gassed out after my first match, so the other 2 roles I had were just, I was not happy with my performance at all. It was terrible. It was terrible.
So, all right. So you're critical of yourself, of course. Are you going to do it again?
I will do it again probably, but maybe not this year. Maybe I want to give myself, because when I did sign up for it, I signed up for like 3 weeks in advance.
Okay.
And I was just anxious those entire 3 weeks. I trained 7 days a week.
Gotcha.
And training was not fun anymore. I was there like, I'm here to win. Like, I need to win. Like, I don't want to be embarrassed. It just took all the fun out of training. And so I want to give myself like a little break from that for at least for a year.
Okay. So,
And there's no obligation to do it. I mean,
For
even
sure.
if you want to do it, and if you're hungry and you want to test yourself, go for it. But yeah, for me, I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I feel like crap. I'm all stressed out. Like I got to diet. I got to lose weight. I gotta do this.
I've always
Like,
said
why?
that.
It's not fun anymore.
if you're not enjoying it,
Yeah,
don't
it
fucking
sucks.
do it. This is a pastime. This
Yeah.
this is not what pays your bills. So it's like if you're not enjoying it, then pump the brakes. But I will also say, if you do think you want to do it, do more smaller local tournaments. Don't go 7 days a week. Don't even really put in a lot of extra work to train. Just say, okay, you know what? My shit is, I'm signed up for this in 2 weeks. I'm just going to do what I've been doing. I'm not even going to worry about it. Then you show up. Worst case scenario, you get a T-shirt.
Yeah, that's what I did.
But familiarity will lessen anxiety. I mean, if you just keep doing it, you're like, fuck. You're like, all right, here's another one. But you also make a good point, Rod. If it's not your thing, if it's not something that like fucking gets you really, really going, ain't shit. Like I know the tournaments I did, it was the same deal, right? I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna do this shit. I freaking got my freaking white gi and all that good stuff because I used to wear a purple gi when I was I had a purple gi when I was a white belt. But I went and bought a nice, fresh, clean, new white gi with my white belt. They got like one stripe or some shit. Yeah, right. I'm like, all right, going to Philly, gonna go compete. And went in there. I got second place. And I think it was like by points. It's like, I don't like points. That was before they even did submission only fucking tournaments. Now that's the shit. Submission only. Yeah, do a submission only next time. Then you'd probably ran through them.
Well, yeah, because my game is mainly on my back. Just because when I first started, I'm like, I'm always on my back. I might as well get good at it. And so my top game, not very good, but I'm usually on my back, and I'm really good at re-guarding. So I lost a lot of points in the tournament because they would pass my guard, and then I would re-guard, and then they passed it again for more points, re-guard. So I never got submitted, but I did lose by points, maybe like 7 points,
Right,
7, 9
right.
points, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a hard one, right? Because, again, that's that sports shit. You're like, damn, if it was a real fight, how would I have done? I don't know. I think our next freaking, maybe Rod and I, for the next couple of months, we should focus more on, like, fucking self-defense stuff. On our classes, we should just, like, start letting these motherfuckers smack each other and shit. Yeah.
Bring the
Grassroots
gloves and
style.
helmets.
Fuck yeah. No helmets. You just get smacked in the head, dude.
All right.
That is why most people go in who are beginners or learn the fundamentals
absolutely.
for self-defense.
Seriously. Yeah, maybe I'll get you guys up on your feet more, and then we'll just fucking... But then I got to watch out for that fucking young boy.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
He'll take one of y'all motherfuckers, put you through the damn wall, put you under the mats.
But there's a value in that. If you do too much sport, you kind of build that muscle memory. Next thing you know, you go to like a Z guard or something, and it's like a sloppy one.
Yeah.
You get punched in your head.
Yeah, because I know a lot of what we used to do over at Hassett's, we sometimes did throw the gloves, but even if somebody's just doing some bullshit that it's like a Z guard or something, you got your Z guard, but you're sloppy, your hands are down, you're not really worried about it, and it'll just kind of pop you in the head, and you're like, oh shit, you're like, whoa, I could have been punched right here, huh? And then it's a reality check.
Yeah,
So
but it's a totally different role though, because you got to close.
it is a different role.
It's
It's a totally different role, but I think we need to do that a little bit more.
Some of them like
so.
remember David Ellis? Whenever
yeah.
whenever he got on the mount, if you're just sitting there like trying to recover, he just all right.
Yeah.
He wouldn't actually hit you, but he'd be saying, "What are you gonna do now?" It's like, oh, man,
Absolutely, because it makes you think. You're like, okay, I really can't just sit here because I'm in a vulnerable position, and this would actually have me getting my head like caved in. So that's good.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Hell yeah. Oh, well, you don't want to do it, Ron? Come on.
Well, I mean, but then the flip side is it's like, but those aren't the rules. It is sport. It's a sport. So it's like, you know what I mean? It has like one has nothing to do with the other in a way. In a way, it's different. You know, hey, I'm doing sport jiu-jitsu. The rules are you can't hit me. So I want to be good at sport jiu-jitsu. So why would I practice like doing all this defense if that's not what that's what Michael Musumeci would say. And I've seen him say it. That's what he says. Like, this is sport jiu-jitsu. I'm not going to focus on doing all this self-defense. Of course, he wouldn't do that in a self-defense situation, but this is sport. That's why he freaking heel hooks the crap out of everybody.
But the question
You don't need
is,
them.
what do the people want, though?
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, that it's sports jiu-jitsu because we're teaching sports jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the case.
I think most people want
Hard
self-defense
ketones.
when they start, but then after about a year, they get hooked on it, and then so you'd have to do some anecdotal evidence. Like, I'd like to see a school that does nothing but just self-defense. That's all they do.
I don't think a school could survive.
Yeah, they could.
Not a
It'd
jiu-jitsu
It'd
school.
be like boring, dude. Like, okay, I'm gonna freaking break his.
That would be an
Yeah,
MMA
like,
school
yeah,
at
it'd
that
be
point.
MMA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, even with your current crop of students, they might crave some damn self-defense.
I think
stuff
you're
in
right,
there.
though. I think they would.
Because-
They want to sprinkle it in a little bit more, maybe.
Because I also say this: most people, when they do want self-defense to begin with, they show up. That's not what they get. All right, let's go anecdotally here then.
That's
So
facts.
for both of you, Eric, we'll start with you and then we'll shoot back over. You got here, you wanted self-defense. Out of the first 3 months of training, how much of it was
That's
self-defense?
facts.
I mean, it felt like self-defense to me because I was getting murdered every day, to be honest.
They were showing me this thing called the truck, and I thought it was self-defense. But I saw
Fair
Ninja
enough.
Roll.
But now I'm a little bit over a year in, so now there's one blue belt at the gym. I can never pass his guard, and he just completely dominates me every time. And so my entire focus now is to at least just pass his guard.
Okay.
That's my goal. I'm just trying to pass that blue belt's guard, so it's not really self-defense
No,
anymore.
not at all. All right. So now, right, because, well, once again, you've been here so long now that you're like, okay, I can probably handle myself if some bullshit goes down. Now you are kind of saying, how do I go jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But that's a good point, though, because you're right. Most schools, you're not going to be showing you self-defense.
Hell no.
They're showing you a freaking berimbolo or some crazy stuff.
Yep. Oh, do that shit out on the fucking concrete. I was just talking about a time when he had an arm bar one of his coworkers out on the concrete. Shit was
I had
hilarious.
to go belly down.
How did you get to that point?
Because we were at like a conference, but we were outside. So it was one of those things like it's a work conference. We were there for like 5 days in another state. I was in Minnesota. I already did.
Yeah, you don't have to go the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it was
Watch episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
ultimately he had an arm bar him.
I won it, but I took L getting it.
Yeah,
But I still got my arm bar.
Hell yeah, dude. That
took a
shit's
win on
it's
that
fucking
one.
awesome. And actually, I do remember you called me from there too, because I remember you telling me that shit.
Had to go to a meeting, do a presentation, had to go Band-Aid, whatever. Oh, no, I'm okay.
That's fucking awesome. All right, so let me ask you guys this then. And, hopefully it wasn't too much on the spot here, but what would you like to see? Let's say, because you guys get all your different techniques and all. What do you think some of your strengths and some of your weaknesses are currently in jiu-jitsu? Start with you.
So weaknesses, I'm nowhere near as flexible as Eric. Like Eric can get his legs up,
Inverted,
near his head,
fully,
inverted,
yeah.
and it's such a hassle to get past.
Yeah,
I'm not that flexible.
Okay.
But strengths though, I like the Kimura. I like the Kimura. It's if I don't have a submission, it's a control. That's one of my favorite
trap.
moves. Yeah.
All right, yeah,
Shout
for
out
sure.
to
The
Kimura
Kimura
Trap.
trap is the shit. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, but growing against guys like Eric, like, it's like, all right, if he's this flexible, I have to get all the way, like, scrunched. I just have to do everything different, and I can't do that, and it's frustrating.
Gotcha.
And then he'll catch me in a submission.
So, all right. So, also, still with you for a second here because you're in that in between size, like just honestly, just like you, right? You're that in between size. You're big enough to be strong as fuck, but then you're still a little bit smaller where you can be faster than some of these guys. Yeah. What are you doing with this in between shit? Like, what do you do? I mean, are you looking to kind of slow other people's games down, or are you trying to chase after their speed?
Usually, if it's someone smaller, like I like there's a guy, a black belt, Danny Sanchez. I like the way he rolls. How it's like a ratchet. He'll get to one position and you can't get past, and then another one, and he just all the way up to the submission.
Nice.
And so I like doing that. But with the bigger guys, usually I have to try and stay on top.
Okay.
When I'm on bottom, that weight's just crushing.
Gotcha.
Like when you were like crushing me in the mouth. Like,
Well, every once in a while you gotta put the smash down on some people.
Or like you remember like Stefan, he was he came and visited.
Right.
He was able to throw me like just a sweep threw me like 4 or 5 feet. We laughed about it, which is funny.
Yeah.
Because it outweighs me by a little bit.
A little bit.
He's what I call husky.
But he's also strong as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, and what's crazy, his technique is really good.
Really technical about it. So when he just does something funny like that, it's like, okay, we're just goofing around.
Yeah, it's like, well, what the fuck was I supposed to do?
Yeah,
right?
well, I can't help being tossed.
Oh, yeah. All right, Eric, what about you? Where do you think some of your strengths and some of your weaknesses are?
Right now, my strengths are my bottom game. I think that's mainly due to my flexibility, like Brian said. I can get a arm bar when I'm in bottom side control.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and it's frustrating.
That's pretty good.
All right.
The secret is, I don't know why, but
That's
every
the demo
time
of the
someone
side
posts
mount
their
arm
elbow
bar.
on my chest, for whatever reason, people do it,
And,
and it gives me the arm bar.
Keep your hands to yourself. One more time.
That's why. So just don't post your elbow on my chest, and I won't get it.
Yeah.
Oh, we might have to film that and like throw that shit in there so I can see that one. That's okay.
My weakness is probably maintaining top control, and so I don't know if it's just because I'm learning or if it's because I'm one of the smaller guys in the gym size-wise, and so I don't know if that plays into it too.
Gotcha.
So yeah, just more top pressure and learning how to maintain it is probably my weakness.
All right. Yeah. See, and like with me, I mean, I try not to. Well, again, I don't know if partially, like I said, it's just I'm old, I'm broken, I for sure slowed down. I play a really slow jiu-jitsu game now. It's like just slow and steady, and like you were talking about with ratcheting. So you're right. I'll get somebody to a position, and then they'll kind of like lock it in. And then they're gonna, flap around a little bit. And I'm like, yep, I'll just chill for a second. Yeah. Then I'll move a little bit more and I'll ratchet it in. We used to always say that was like you're acting like a boa constrictor, like an anaconda. You're acting like something you squeeze and they can't take a deep breath in anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So when they breathe out, you squeeze a little bit more. So now their breathing gets even more and more shallow, and you just keep locking them in place, and then you just handle your business.
You gotta get out that first one, that first attempt, because it's gonna.
Yeah. If you don't get out right away, it's just gonna get way worse. Yeah. Fucking Jimmy Hassett used to do that shit to us, man, and that's John's little brother, and he would be really like a fucking boa constrictor. Like I'd get locked into something, and then I'm trying to move, and I don't get out. Then it just feels like it gets tighter, and I try to move, don't get out, tighter, and I need a fucking taser. I'm just like sticking that shit under the gi and just like, get off me. What else you got for these jokers, Rod?
I think that's kind of it.
Yeah.
I think we kind of covered most things. I don't know. You guys have anything you want to add to it, or anything? What about this? Anything that you thought maybe didn't live up to the whole expectation of jiu-jitsu as a whole? I thought it was going to be this, but it turned out not to be in this area.
I got something the opposite of that, like the camaraderie that you guys talked about in the
Sure.
past. I didn't realize it was going to be that deep. Like I was like, all right, it's just somebody come in and train with. It's just guys or girls if they're there. I didn't realize how good of friendships we'd develop
For sure.
here.
And right, like you're another infantry guy, same here, and like because that was a bond. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you're right. It was recreated. Like I felt that too. Because, like, all my buddies in freaking infantry and the Army, we were like, yeah, this fucking Hula, we're going to do this, do that. And I feel like that here again. So I definitely see where you're coming from on that one. That's for sure.
That's legit. How about you, Eric?
I agree with the camaraderie, and I think it has to do with they could literally kill you if they're, and so you really have to trust them. There's a level of trust, like, hey, you could have killed me, you didn't. Like, we're chill now.
Yeah.
You know? Like so
I like that.
No, he's right, but not only kill, but they can injure you.
Yeah,
like
for
a
sure.
guy can
Yeah.
rip your shoulder out. You know, like, yo, dude, I'm trusting you that not really injure me severely.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We are putting massive amounts of trust in other human beings, and we're like, just please don't hurt me. I got to go to work in the morning.
Yeah.
That's why competition is unique, because there's trust, but there's not, because you don't know this other guy. You're just trusting that they're just, decent human beings. They're not going to try to wreck you, But yeah, you have to go at it to where, like, this guy is going to try to rip my shoulder out.
Yes, that's for sure. And you know what? That is the other downside. I mean, competition training, it can get ugly because you're right. It's like, I need that plastic metal or whatever, that plastic gold. I got to win. I got to win.
At the
And
expense of you.
at the expense of you, it's like, oh, shit. Oh, you missed. You slipped. Taking that arm home with me.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I don't do as many competitions as I used to. I don't know. I don't want to get hurt.
You don't want that plastic metal?
Yeah, I just like, fuck, dude. I don't even know where my shit's at. I mean, hell, even my belts are in my closet. We were talking about those freaking those belt, what is it? Those holder things that we have like up here. Yeah, dude. I still need to get one of those. I take so much jiu-jitsu shit and I kind of tuck it in the corner. I need to get my shit up on display because
You need to.
I still love it so much. I love the art, man. Are you guys finding that you've already fallen in love with this shit, or is it still building? I mean, could you do without it?
I go 7 days because I hate it.
No, I couldn't imagine ever quitting. Like, I want to be doing this 25, 30 years from now.
Absolutely.
And I think they might have a good chance because you guys both row really well, really smooth. It's the guys that roll super hard, super aggressively. Yeah, they might be living glory now. Oh, I gotta tap. See them in 5-10 years.
Absolutely.
They're going to be wrecked. Their bodies are going to be all torn up.
They're burning a camel
It's
at
a
both
marathon.
ends.
Yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, speaking of that, I want to add another thing that you don't expect, like how exhausting it is. Because I was working out a lot. Like, I still do work out a lot. Like, at the gym, I do cardio, I do weights, I do everything. I'm like, I'll be able to do this, no problem. No.
It's a trade-off.
It is different. It is
Crazy.
It is a very unique form of cardio that engages your whole body.
Yeah.
And if you've never done it before, you're in for a treat on your first class, to be honest. You will gas out super quick.
Hell yeah. Nice. All right. So for the person who wants to start jiu-jitsu, give him a little piece of guidance. It's like, hey, I don't know anybody who does jiu-jitsu. What the fuck should I do?
I would say, go if you pick a gym and then go to it and see if they have multiple instructors. That's like our gym has 4 or 5 different instructors, and they're all different. They're all really good, but they have different aspects. They teach differently. The classroom's a different environment. Everything's different and really good. So like Rod teaches fundamentals on Wednesday night. I wish I had that 3 years ago. That would have been great. And then John teaches on Tuesday nights, and his is a more athletic. It's more he had a more wrestling base this week, more intensive cardio stuff.
Conditioning, it seems like he's a lot of
it's more conditioning to it.
Yeah. He's good.
Gustavo teaches like really advanced stuff like that. Yes. He was teaching like a worm guard, like some crazy thing where you have to get inverted. Like my first week there, I had no idea how to move, and I just looked like a terrible person. That's it.
That's a legit. You know what? That's actually a really good point. I wonder if that's why guys are getting better now too, because they have a whole variety of different instructors. All I learned under was Gus.
Right.
Like, that's all I had, So it would be better if I had different, because like Gus is legit, right? But there's a lot of things that Gus can do that I can't do. So what if I had a guy that was like me, that was like, hey, I'm going to just do more basic stuff, like, oh, then maybe that's easier for me.
There you go.
Instead of trying to be like, I'm not going to be like Gus. I can't, do that stuff.
Yeah, so it's like now I have the basics down. I can actually do some of those moves that Gustavo was trying to teach. I don't just look dumb and the first day on the
you don't look dumb. You don't look dumb anymore. You look good.
And then I would say try and figure out the lingo, like the vocabulary, like what is shrimping? Like that's like it's an animal. Like that's what are you talking about? Just a lot of the language barriers. Like, all right, do this. I don't know what you're talking about. What does that mean?
Okay. Eric, any suggestions for somebody looking for a gym or looking to start jiu-jitsu?
I have a couple. So first suggestion is just, like Brian said, find the school that works for you, fits for you. Every school has a different culture, so you want to find one that fits yours. Some people are more competition focused.
Yeah.
Some people like those really hard rolls, death match rolls, and some schools promote that. Some schools are hobbyist gyms, more like ours, where it's more like we all got to go to work the next day. So just find a gym that fits you, and then secondly, just show up. Because when you first show up, you're going to be a deer headlights. You're not going. They're going to be going over the drills. They're going to be going over the moves of the day, and you're not going to get any of it. Yeah. You won't understand any of it. Just keep showing up. It'll click eventually. You'll start. Your body will adjust, and you will learn.
That is a good fucking piece of advice. Yeah, that is really good advice.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they're like wise beyond their years around here nowadays. Fuck, I was just fucking stupid. I just showed up and got beat up.
Same here, man.
I was like, oh, I guess that's what I'm doing. Is this what some kind of fucking sadomasochist cult? Just beat the shit out of me, I guess. But I did learn finally, you know.
Well, I think we're good, right? I think we got a lot of stuff covered.
Absolutely not.
With this in conjunction with the first one.
Oh yeah,
you're a guy
man.
that
You
doesn't
tie
train,
those.
Watch that first one. Watch this one, and then it'll give you some more.
For sure. Because I mean, listen, everybody here is doing really great. You guys are fucking awesome. That's why we used to invite you guys to the bar because. You know, lower belts back in the day, we weren't inviting lower belts any fucking way. We were like, nah, dude, just fucking get out of here.
What we used to say? White belts don't have souls.
Yeah. It's mean, but yeah, you know, you used to say white belts didn't have any souls. They didn't have a name, didn't have a soul.
Oh my god!
But then look at you. Now you're all souled up and shit. You guys are like the soul man.
You're the soul man.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Know, man.
Yeah, man, listen, you guys, I appreciate you guys coming in. This was cool. I'm very glad you made time for us because they make time, right? Because it's important to them. And if it's important to you, you'll find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. Thank you for not finding an excuse not to come sit with us. We actually really appreciate it, guys. All right. Well, that's it.
See you guys in the next one.
Us.